Right now we're going to talk some high school football, a subject that we're looking forward to as we get ready to kick off another season. And with me right now I have somebody that in Belvidere they know very well, Coach Vern Pottinger. And Coach, thanks for taking time to talk with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You know, Coach, when you look back at your run in high school football, you're in like 5 football Hall of Fames. But, you know, doing my background search on you, I don't think that really matters. You just like working with the kids and doing football. Is that part of the story right there?
Yeah, I did. And I don't think it was just all football either. I think we, as a coaching staff, we were able to teach the kids a lot of things about life in the right way and so on, too. So, we kind of did that through football. Of course, football was the main thing, but there was more than just the football, too.
When you look back on your career, you know, you started out and were an assistant coach for a while, and then you finally got a head coaching job. Tell us what you were thinking when you first took that first head coaching job, if you thought you would have the career you did.
Well, I had the goal, of winning a state championship, which I think is the dream of every young coach, but you never so few people actually get to that point that it's kind of a dream, and you reach for it. And I was just one of those that was able to reach my dream, I guess. So, but yeah, you're full of excitement and enthusiasm, and then when you actually start coaching, you find out how difficult it is to build a program. It's kind of hard.
You were kind of an innovator with that no-huddle wishbone attack. How did that all come about over there at Belvidere?
Well, my high school coach was Mike Farley, and as I went on to college, I only played for him 1 year, my senior year in high school. He went on to be the head coach at UW River Falls, and I worked football camps and stuff with him almost every summer. And he took a sabbatical 1 year and traveled around the country, and he went to Tri-State, Mississippi, who had just won a Division II, I think it was, or 1AA national championship. And as soon as he mentioned no-huddle wishbone on the phone, we were already running the wishbone, and when he got to the no-huddle, I thought, wow, it was like a light bulb went on, and that was just what I was looking for.
In my younger days, I played some high school football in Ohio, and they taught us the wishbone. They used the Darrell Royal film. Did you ever get to watch that back in the old days?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was one of the first things.
And when you look back on that now, are you surprised that people don't try that now again? I mean, I know like Army, I think they play a little wishbone and stuff, but are you surprised that they don't do that, or has football changed that much, do you think?
Well, there's a couple of things involved. Number one, the fans have gotten so used to wanting to see the football. They love the passing game because they can see the ball all the time, where when you run the wishbone, they can't see the ball. They don't know who has it for sure, and so they feel like they're missing a big part of the game. And that's part of it, and that's why your major colleges and the pros and those do not use it very much, although there's more option being run now than ever. But the other part of it was that for high school, for instance, when I came back to Wisconsin here to Rice Lake, there were like 4 coaches in the conference who had run the wishbone at one time, and they all went away from it. And I think the reason is it's very difficult, it's complicated, and it has to be part of a system that you use all the way through. And to teach that to all the coaches and all the kids is quite tough until you get it established, and then it becomes a lot easier. But it's hard to keep it to start it and to keep it going.
What was some of the memories you have at Belvidere? I mean, you had 2 back-to-back state championships. You turned around a program. You had a couple of tough years, but I'm sure there's a lot of memories. But what are some of the things you think about when you think about Belvidere?
Well, you got about 2 hours?
Yeah, I probably do, because I'm enjoying this, Coach.
Oh, I just remember some of the early days, when I thought we had pretty good talent, but we still hadn't ingrained some of the things that we believed in our athletes and so on, and just getting the whole all around atmosphere aligned in the right direction, and getting kids on the same page with the coaches, and when you have a staff, it's really tough. We really got to going after the staff was together for a long time, and when we won the state championships, so most of the coaches had been with me from 18 to 20 years, and that's a long time to be together and to get on the same page with everything. But the memories are just unbelievable. I can go back, and I think with my 3rd year we wound up 5-4, but the 4 games we lost were like a total of 11 points. And that's tough when you're trying to build a program and you think you got it going, but you lose those close games.
How tough
then,
was
of course, there's a lot of other ones along the way, the championships and stuff. One of the big ones is when we beat Wheaton North in '88 to make it to state for the first time. That was a real thrill.
How valuable is that to get that experience like that for your kids in the playoffs?
Well, it really makes a huge difference. If you watch most teams that make it to state for the first time wind up not winning because the mental preparation for something like that is really different. And we felt we had the best team when we lost the first time in 1988. And in 1993, we felt that we probably physically didn't have the best team on the field, but mentally and everything else involved, there were a lot of things I could tell you about there, but we just felt that we had learned how to approach the state championship game, and that made a big difference.
You know, you have 9 children, I understand. Does that help you coach football a little bit, Coach? When you have that many kids at home that you have to handle that many when you get to football practice?
Well, my wife deserves a lot of credit for that because I spent so much time on football that I wasn't home a whole lot, so I got to give her all the credit for the family that we have, and they're pretty precious.
You know, when you talk about the kids that you had play for you, is there? I know there's a bunch of kids that probably stand out in your mind, but is there those certain kids that you say, "Wow, I'm sure glad I had a chance to be around him a little bit"?
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but one of them that really stands out is the only kid that made the pros that I ever coached, and that was Mike Junkin. And not just because he did that, but we were still struggling to really get the program going. And his senior year, we had a lot of juniors that were good athletes, but he really showed them how to play the game. And the year after he graduated, then we really took our first big step in 1983 and won the conference championship. And a lot of the credit I think, is due to him because of the way he approached the game and his preparation, and that rubbed off on the other kids. So I really remember Mike and think about him a lot.
You know, I had a chance to look at the 1993, I think it was the state semifinal game against Boylan, and I kind of liked your comments. You kind of like to go after a team you play, don't you, a little bit? I was kind of like, we really don't like Boylan. We don't hate him, but we really don't like him. Was that a fun game that day?
Yeah, we had some great games with them. I mean, it was amazing. You know, in '92, they beat us twice, and once in the regular season, and then I think it was the third round of the playoffs. And so '93 was kind of payback, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way or disliking them in a derogatory way. It's just the competition involved, you know, that you learn to, boy, you really want to beat them because they're so competitive with you. So it's all done in fun, and it's just a real, the atmosphere we had there. The year after, in '94, we actually had a tremendous atmosphere because I think they televised the game. It was a night game at Boylan, and they wound up beating us. We both were undefeated, and we had a 19-game winning streak going at the time. They were ranked number 1 in the state, and we were ranked number 2. And I mean, the atmosphere was like a small college game, so it was really great.
You know, let's move forward a little bit. Let's look. They split the schools up a few years ago. They got Belvidere North. Belvidere North, of course, won their first Nick 10 title, shared it with Hononegah. But having been there, I think you kind of ruined that effect because a lot of people, every time I would go to the game on the sideline, Coach would say, "Man, if we were just one team and had Coach Pottinger, we would be something else." What was your thoughts on the splits of the two schools?
Well, I had mixed feelings because, number one, you know, the loyalty is so hard when you split people in the town and stuff even, because when we started winning in football at Belvidere, the downtown had kind of died because of Cherryvale Mall and so on, so the shopping districts were struggling, and the community kind of came together and they did a streetscape plan, and it seemed like people, you know, I'd go to Cherryvale Mall once in a while and I couldn't hardly shop because people kept coming up with their purple and gold on, and they were so proud of what we were doing with the program, and I was so proud of the community and stuff. So that's the tough part when you take the loyalty part of it. The other side, though, is the school was getting so big that a lot of kids weren't getting the opportunity to play. And when you split, that gives that many more kids a chance. I think Mike Kern had like 84 freshmen out for football one year. Yeah. And it's hard to play that many kids. You know, it's hard to give them the opportunity. So there's really two sides to it. It's giving more kids a chance to play, but there's the side that kind of rips the community apart.
And, you know, you had some really good assistant coaches. You talked about Mike Hearn. He's also in the Hall of Fame in Illinois. Coach Tobin, who I got to follow his Belvidere North teams. He's a fun guy just to be around. You had a good group, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. And Tom Sternquist and Daryl Magnuson and Chuck Larson, and I hate to even start mentioning because there's so many of them. Even some of the younger guys that had played at Belvidere before I got there and then wanted to be a part of the program. And Bob White, Dar Whitehead, and I'm sure I'm going to leave somebody out. Chuck Leonard, Chuck Leonard Sr.
Yeah.
And just so many of them. It was amazing. And again, as far as assistant coaches, the first thing I always looked for was loyalty. And those guys were just they were bleeding buck of blood, I think.
Okay, now if I understand it, you're not coaching anymore. Is that correct, Coach?
No, I've been out of it for almost 10 years now.
How does that feel? Do you miss those Friday night lights?
Yeah, absolutely. You talk a lot of coaches, they say they really enjoy practice a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I love the games. I mean, to me, I used to get really nervous before every game, and I always said if I ever stopped getting nervous, I'd get out of coaching. Well, I actually never got through that. I was always nervous, but I finally realized how much sacrifice my wife, especially, and my family had put up with over the years just for me to coach the way I did. And so it was time for me to step aside, and I miss it. I miss it yet. I do get to have a little part of it because I do the radio, the color for the radio whenever I'm in town for the ball games.
For Rice Lake, then, Coach?
Yes, yeah. And so I enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I love doing football games like that. Coach, thanks so much for taking time out. I enjoyed so much doing my research on you. You're just the kind of coach that I wish my kids could have played for. And congratulations on a great career, and enjoy those Friday nights doing sports.
Well, thank you, and I want to compliment you on the article that you did because you really did your research. Your facts were very, very truthful, and I really enjoyed reading the article, so thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Coach. We've been talking to Belvidere head football coach for over 20 years. He led them to 2 state championships, Vern Pottinger. Thanks to Vern for being on today. For the StatelineSportsHub.com, I'm Dave Schmidt.